Welcome to Pesto Comics Audio Edition. This is the entry for June 1st, 2024. How lucky am I? Celebrating a year of posts, and how I find the excellent artists that I've worked with. Plus, a mid-campaign update for Crazy Latte Thing Called Love. The fun stuff first. Crazy Latte Thing Called Love is going strong. Holy cow, what a start we have had. 13 hours in and we hit our funding goal. We rocketed past the first stretch goal too, before slowing down through the dead zone for a while. I'm writing this post on Monday to get ahead of all the things I need to do for the campaign, so I don't know how the Flash Goal and the Pocket Reward have done. Hopefully those drummed up a lot of interest. If you're listening to this now, you know better than I do. The support for this campaign, in comparison to the previous ones by Pesto Comics, has been absolutely astounding. I've been trying a whole bunch of new things this time out to drum up interest, and not everything has worked, but a lot has. Most of all, Mattia Monaco's art has been a huge talking point by nearly everyone who checks out the campaign. I'll get into this more later in the post. I'll also be doing a post-mortem here in the Substack a couple weeks after the end of the campaign to really dive deep into the numbers. For now, I just want to say thank you to anyone who has backed the campaign already. If you haven't, don't delay. Though the comics probably will be available in some other form after the campaign, you won't get the deals you do here during the Kickstarter. Plus, shipping is included. There's great bundles, and a whole whack of free extras that go to both physical backers and the digital ones. Plus, keeping these campaigns alive ensures that we can keep creating new and more amazing stories to share. Speaking of sharing stories, call for entries continue. I've been reading more than ever, and I was already an avid reader. I've been uncovering some incredible gems with the submissions to Big Smoke Pulp. Space in the book is nearly 50% spoken for now, so if you're a glass half full kind of person, throw your hat in the ring. Here's some tips to make sure I'm happy when I read your story. Fast-paced and high tension. Get into the story immediately, set the scene with action over description. Shorter is better. Though some longer works have made it through, the overwhelming majority have been south of 2,000 words. Cliché is okay sometimes. With shorter word counts, using some cliched tropes helps to set the scene, so you can get right into the action. With a twist. Keep me guessing till the end. I want to feel like I know what's coming, then be shocked. It's not a requirement to be an actual twist, but subvert my expectations a bit. I'm looking forward to seeing what you've got, and I can't wait to show you what I've been reading. A year on Substack. Time flies, doesn't it? I remember when this newsletter could barely walk, and now it's soaring. This newsletter started with just a handful of readers, and now we're well over 500 subscribers. I'm thrilled to have so many friendly folks interested in what's happening with this venture every couple weeks. And now, with that hidden segue, how lucky am I? You may have noticed I use I and we interchangeably. That's because I don't do any of this alone. The amazing artists I've worked with since 2022 have elevated my stories into something new and amazing every single time. I've had a great experience with all of them, so I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce you to each of them individually. If you're looking for some great artists to work with, consider this my recommendation list. I'm working with some of them again already, and I hope to work with others again very soon. Feel free to fight me for their services. Here they are, in the order that I've met and worked with them. Lane Lloyd, Brads. It's hard to miss Lane's work if you're familiar with indie comics at all. Lane is a workhorse and has a very distinctive style that you can spot from a mile away. Lane's work on Brads, which you can still get a DRM-free PDF copy as a subscriber of the newsletter, might be a brief, silly story, but Lane managed to make it a lot of fun with the limited space. Valentin de la Casas, Unlimited Udo. After working with Lane, I knew there were huge advantages to finding artists with distinct styles. Valentin fit the bill. Unlimited Udo needed someone with a sense of humor. Someone that could take a silly story of a tech bro making multiples of himself seem grave while still staying as ludicrous as it is. The cross between manga and graffiti makes Unlimited Udo something terribly unique and something I'll be proud of for a really long time. Rafael Cristiani, Unlimited Udo, Stay Cool, and NKW. To contrast Valentin, I found Rafael, who has a very traditional style. He drew a cover that brought Hope, the main character of Unlimited Udo, to life in a way that I didn't think was possible. From there, we worked on a second Pesto Comics project, Stay Cool. It was a story that needed a little more gravitas. It's a noir story about revenge and spontaneous combustion. Being silly would change the book entirely, as it's more about paranoia and gaslighting than the explosions. And that's not all. I've been keeping Raphael busy with our next yet-to-be-announced project, NKW. It's a series that'll keep Raphael busy for a while. I'll be sharing more about that in the coming months, with plans to launch the first issue this fall. Riccardo Facchini, Unlimited Udo, and Stay Cool. Riccardo is an artist that's on my wish list for a full project. Some of the best work you'll find on Kickstarter is Riccardo's. I knew I wanted him for a cover for Unlimited Udo, and he did not disappoint. I didn't expect to get to work with him again so soon on Stay Cool. Both Raphael and the next artist I'll mention only do inks, and I needed a colorist and put a call out on Facebook to look for them. I must have reviewed over 100 colorists, but just couldn't find the right fit. Then Riccardo gave me a nudge saying he'd happily work as a colorist. The palettes he chose for the two covers for Stay Cool were not what I was expecting, but in the best way. He proved that I have to work with him again soon. Brian Ezquerra, Stay Cool. Brian was another artist I had on my wish list. I loved the way he drew women. They looked so strong in just the right way that fit the character of Ellie in Stay Cool. It was serendipitous that when I was scanning Facebook groups looking for an artist, I saw Brian had put a call out looking for commissions. It was an easy hire. Mattia Monaco, Stay Cool, and Crazy Latte Thing Called Love. Mattia was honestly a dream come true. I've been telling the story on every podcast or to anyone who asks, but I'll mention it again here. I was reading Chicken Devils from Aftershock and absolutely loved the new artist on it. I didn't know who it was at the time, but I loved just how dynamic yet detailed it all was. Then I saw those very same pages on a Reddit post with the same artist looking for work. I had a spot for an extra variant cover on Stay Cool and had to jump at the chance to work with Mattia. I loved the results so much that I wrote a script with him in mind. That's how we came to Crazy Latte Thing Called Love. Mattia's ability to make the mundane to the insane so incredibly full of life and interesting is something you have to see for yourself. His art is absolutely mind-blowingly good and elevated the story well beyond what I had imagined. There's still 9 days to check out the Kickstarter so you can see what I mean. Roberto Villacava, Crazy Latte Thing Called Love. Roberto is the first local I've worked with. We met virtually in the comics launch program, but when I found out we lived a mere hour away from each other, when there's no traffic, I felt like it was meant to be that we had to work together. Roberto has so much going on, and I've already mentioned him in a couple of recent posts. You need to see what he's doing with the Voyager series. He'll probably be in the next post too, as we're tabling across the aisle from each other in his hometown for Niagara Falls Comic Con. Will Robson, Crazy Latte Thing Called Love. I try to swing really big with the third covers. That's Riccardo, Mattia, and now Will. There's a method to how I choose these covers. The first is the main artist. The second is a cover for me. And the third one is someone that already has an audience that I can draw from. In Crazy Latte Thing Called Love, there's two for me, as Mattia gave me so many good options. You should see what I didn't go through with, and it was still great. But anyways, I reached out to Will based on a tweet. I knew Will excelled at homage covers, and I knew just the one for him. Not only did he make an amazing cover, but he was the first one to support the campaign. I didn't even finish adding the add-ons yet. I'm talking seconds. That aside, Will comes with a resume that I can only dream of. He's an expert at his craft, and I was thrilled to get to work with him and get his support. Deborah Lancianese, Crazy Latte Thing Called Love, and NKW. This was a hard one to keep under my hat. I love Deborah's work. I didn't even know that right away, having read and loved Jonathan Hedrick's Hyperware, not knowing that she was the artist. I got her to do a cover for the Raphael project way ahead of schedule, and I didn't want to chase her down last minute. But I ended up doing that anyway. While she was busy with the move back in Italy, I was pestering her for a cover for Crazy Latte Thing Called Love. I had an idea I knew she could nail, and she did. And I knew it would be a great pocket reward, but man, was it hard to keep a secret. And just wait until you see what she did for NKW. Needless to say, Deborah is also on my want to work with again list. Daniel Caval, FPU. Lastly, the latest artist I'm working with. Daniel is another artist on my wish list that I would reach out to one day. Then I saw Daniel post that he was looking for long-term projects. And I just happen to have something that I've been kicking around for 5 to 6 years now. With his art in mind, I was finally able to get it all together and ready. Daniel is trucking through the pages that I may end up reversing the release of FPU and NKW to get this book out first. We'll probably bounce Kickstarter campaigns between these two projects, but my goodness, does Daniel have a work ethic. And the pages he's sending have been a lot of fun. What a roster. This is just the beginning. My wish list of artists I'd like to work with grows constantly. There's one artist, much like some I've listed here, that is available and I absolutely dream about working with. I've already messaged him, warning I'm coming to him with something very soon. Fingers crossed the stars align. I thank you, dear reader, for supporting our campaigns so I can continue to get these amazing artists to work with. I want to check off every name in my checklist multiple times. How could I work with Mattia just once, or Ricardo, or Roberto, or Deborah, or Valentin, or Brian, or Will, or Lane? Not to mention all the ones I haven't got to work with yet. I have stories to keep them all very busy. Here's hoping we keep breaking records so I can afford to keep them all making me look good. Before we go, speaking of artists making me look good, a reminder to check out Crazy Latte Thing Called Love, live now on Kickstarter if you haven't already. 9 days left. Mattia is doing some amazing work you must see. And with that, what's next? June 15th, A Home Away from Home. The weekend at Niagara Falls Comic Con, plus announcing the next project by Pesto Comics. And July 1st, Postmortem, Crazy Latte Thing Called Love, an in-depth look at the third Pesto Comics campaign. And that's it for this week. Once again, I want to thank you for listening. If you're doing that instead of reading it, it's all good. I'm glad somebody's listening to this. I really appreciate it. But if you don't subscribe to the Substack, please do. There's a lot of images I throw in there. You get your free copy of Brad's by Lane and myself, which I highly recommend checking out. And, just all kinds of links and things to all the artists and the work of theirs that I mention here. So definitely worth checking out the posts, even if you let me read it to you. Once again, I really thank you. We'll talk again on the 15th. Have a great week. Thanks, everybody.